morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to talk about our favorite NHL All-Star moments, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. My favorite All-Star moment off the top of my head is when Kucherov did the Kucherov. I forgot who he did it on. He faked the deke and the puck just went wee right under the goalie's legs. I forget who the goalie was, but that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you always forget who the goalie is. I mean, that Alex Ovechkin goal in the regular season when he goes behind his head or whatever, I don't know who the goalie is, but it's still one of the greatest goals ever. I think of it was late 90s, early aughts with Owen Nolan when he was coming down the wing and pointed, I'm pretty sure it was on Dominik Hasek. And Hasek's arguably the best goalie of all time. And Owen Nolan pointed where he was going to score and then shot and then scored. And that was honestly, I was a kid at the time, 13, 14, 15. One of the coolest things I'd seen in a hockey game, period, let alone in an All-Star game. Do you watch the All-Star game? I write about season-long fantasy hockey at Dauber, and I wrote about this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm not super into the All-Star game, but it's not for us. If you're over the age of 13 or 14, it's really not for you, right? That's kind of how I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah, and they kind of try to make it kind of more watchable with the 3-on-3, you know what I mean? Wide open, because the NBA All-Star game, the first 3 quarters is just all of that crazy stuff, and then they kind of pick it up in the fourth quarter. It's kind of what it is in the NHL now. They try to make a show out of it. I enjoy watching the guys go for some absolutely wild moves and stuff, but I'll watch this because I'll play DFS with it and, be yeah, didn't stack Pacific and lost my bankroll.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. That 3-on-3 did change things because it's like a bracket now, right? There's 4 teams and there's 2 games and then there's a finals. And then once you get to the finals, it seems like the guys want to win. Which you don't have to go out there and be, who was it? Jeremy Roenick absolutely crushed somebody in an All-Star game once. You don't have to go out there and, put somebody out for 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. But, skate hard, pass, nice passes, all that stuff.
Big money prize if you win I think it's $1 million a player, this is the NHL. So maybe $10,000 a player.
Yeah,
but it's a good money if you win. So
I mean, hey, even if it's 25K for 30 minutes of work, I don't think too many people would turn that down. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching. I mean, the skills competition thing, they added that shot thing where you have to make the best hand possible by shooting pucks at playing cards. That seems kind of cool to me. At least it's interesting, it's new, it seems ingenious, stuff like that I'm interested in. Are you more in the skills comp than the game?
Yeah, I like making that the card hands they do that in movies with the snipers. You know what I mean? But
I swear, in my article for Dauber that I'm posting tonight, I wrote about that scene in SWAT. I think it was in 2000.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to. Yeah. Isn't that a flush? Well, cool, Jay.
Yeah, he's no, he's 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Oh, Royal Flush. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be cool. I'm kind of excited for the All-Star game. Should keep in mind that the Olympics are going, so there's going to be hockey in the middle of the night for people. Maybe you work a night shift, maybe you're in a weird time zone. There's going to be, I'm pretty sure the women's hockey starts here in about 9 hours. So, Eastern time zone might be tough. Western, you might be able to catch the games, but lots of hockey coming up. We have the All-Star game, we have the Olympics. The NHL is right back on Monday. There's 2 games on Monday. We won't be back for a show, but we will be back on Tuesday. The NHL starts right back up on Monday. So a little bit of 4-day reprieve, but not too long. The original Olympic break was 3 weeks or something like that. So definitely nothing like that.
4 days is good, just especially if you only play hockey on DraftKings or FanDuel. It's good to just disconnect and relax for the 4 days, get out of your own head, or if you're running bad, just breathe. But 3 weeks at the end of a week and a half, you're Biggins, Tyrone Biggins itching for DFS. So you start playing NBA and just get wrecked. You see everyone posting screenshots because the thing is everyone wins an NBA except for you. You know what I mean? So 4 days is good. 3 weeks would have been rough.
Everyone tells me that. Just play NBA when there's no NHL. Everybody wins at NBA. Yeah, everybody wins but me. I pretty much agree with that. We are brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. Yahoo Sports has been our sponsor all season long. They've been very good to us. And if you're new to DFS and you want to avoid some of the sharks, we have a giveaway through Yahoo Fantasy. We'll talk about them a little bit later in the show, but thank you to them for sponsoring. And I see about 60 people in the chat. If you guys could throw us a thumbs up, those likes really help us look good for our bosses, and click the subscribe button. The subscriptions really help us out here. We've been slowly growing this channel. The more subscribers we have, the more shows we can bring. We're at 72,000. I say 420,000 is our next big milestone. So please help us get there by clicking the subscribe button and click the little bell as well. Get the alerts when we do go live. NFL is winding down, but NBA and NHL are in the middle of their seasons. PGA has started up. MMA is, it seems a little bit, they're not going every weekend like they were a few months ago, but
it's going to be every weekend going.
But it's going to be starting up here shortly. So lots to talk about in the sports world. So click the bell to get alerts whenever we do go live. All right, checking in the chat, I see $5 super chat from Ninos Hanna. Thank you very much for your super chat, Ninos. He says, in a 50-50 tournament, is it best to stack lines or fill your lineup with one-offs? Thanks always for your great content. Now, 50-50s, those are like cash game lineups is what we're talking about here. I'll let you talk about this because you played cash games more than I do. I haven't been successful at them this year. You have. So what's your approach?
So generally, if I'm in a 50-50 or a double up contest, I'm not going to, force in a stack. But if I happen to get there, then I'm going to play it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to force it in. I'm not going to, resist against it. Wherever my lineup takes me, I try to fill in, like tonight, you got to like play. Well, just like a night with the big boys on the slate. Like, you have to choose between McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon, right? And if you want to play those three centers, right, you put them in, and then you fill in your rest of your lineup with value. If the value happens to be some of his line mates, one of these centers line mates, then so be it. But like, I'm not going to go into it thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to stack Washington 1 and then fill around it. I'm going to put in the guys I want to play with the high floors and the high ceilings, and then fill it in with value around it. If it ends up correlating, it ends up correlating. But I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to resist it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's like, if the value gets you there, then you play that value. If it doesn't get you there, then you don't force it in. I think that's a very good approach to cash games. And I would recommend people listen to Josh. Like I said, he's been successful at them much more than I have. So not only is he single entry assassin, but he does fairly well in cash games also. We had a big winner last night. We should mention Zig 30 took down the Q, the qualifier for the Fantasy Hockey World Championships last night. He took down first place. It was a heated race pretty much right to the end. Lots of people were in contention right down to the end of that Vegas game. So congrats to Zig 30 for taking down the Fantasy Hockey World Championships. That's an awesome accomplishment. If I'm not mistaken, that's our 4th Awesemo sub on the way, including Jake. I don't know if Jake counts as a sub, but Jake's going, El Tangle's going, Hofbrau's going, and now Zig 30 is going as well. Those guys now have a 4-man card game whenever they go to dinner or something like that. So congrats to Zig 30. What did you see? You stayed up later and you watched the end of those games. I was in bed by the end of the first period in Vegas. What did you see? Because that was quite the sweat last night for a lot of people.
I saw some generous assists given out to Stone and Pacioretty on that Howden goal. Listen, our buddy Saul finished second. Our other buddy Jay Willie finished third. They're all within like a 1.5, 2 points. It was pretty sweaty there. It just shows you how hard it is to qualify for these live finals. You know what I mean? Like, everything has to go right, and then you have to get lucky.
Yeah.
So like, that's why like I don't really chase these qualifiers. What I'll do is I'll play in the satellites for bigger tickets to these things, and if I happen to get it, then I'll play. But like, for me, like putting $300 of my bankroll into a lottery where I have 1%, where I have to be perfect and get lucky, it just, if it just feels like, allotting that portion of my bet. Like, I'm happy for everyone that qualified. It hurts being really close, but like, that could happen if you enter. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's pretty tilting. I finished second multiple times. I ended up making it one year. I finished second in 4 qualifiers the year before that, including like this one guy with like one of the worst beats I took in NHL DFS. Everyone has the bad beat stories, but this was like when Jake Muzzin was on the Kings. This guy behind me was drawing dead to a Jake Muzzin unassisted goal on my goalie, and he got it with like 4 minutes left. It was like the most. I just like, well, see you later, and I rolled over and went to bed. Like it was just brutal. So you have to be good, and you have to get lucky. So
that's the top part. And I'm like you, like if I win, the $19, $300 tickets or whatever, then I'll play. Other than that, like I don't chase either. I don't have the bankroll for it. But for the people that do, win qualifiers, for the people that do get in, it is a huge deal. And talk to anybody that's gone to one of these weekends, the fantasy hockey championship or basketball or football. They have a lot of fun when they go. You might only win a few $1,000s if you finish in last, but a few $1,000s and a nice vacation. I mean,
I finished 36, got a nice trophy. I didn't get a trophy for it, but I did get a herniated L5 and S1 for getting drunk and wrestling some people, but hey, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, exactly. You can enjoy yourself and injure yourself at the same time. That is definitely possible. Josh is living proof. We do have a 5-game slate that we have to talk about here today, though. This is the final slate before the All-Star game. So it's our final chance to scratch that itch. Let's get to these games. Edmonton is the first game we're going to talk about. The Edmonton Oilers have a 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Washington. The Caps have a 3.1 implied goal total. The big news came about 30 minutes before we hit the air. Alex Ovechkin hit the COVID list. He will be out for tonight. We don't know what that's going to do to their lines. Obviously, they had practice yesterday, morning skate today. That news came 30 minutes ago. We won't see any lines until, if we're lucky, about 3 hours from now. If not, we'll get them at warm-up. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do here without Ovechkin. What are your thoughts on this game without Ovechkin? What are we going to do with Edmonton? Just go wherever you want with this.
Yeah, so I really liked that Washington was going to be one of the most chalky spots of the night because I generally fade Washington. And on a short slate, I'm like, yay, if they bust, I'll be good. If Ovechkin goes ham, I can just, go watch a movie because it's the first game. Now I'm concerned that, with Ovechkin out, the ownership on the Caps is going to go way down. The ownership on the teams I like more are going to go way up, especially Edmonton. Because like right now, Edmonton top like McDavid 12% on a 5-gamer. Like I would have been like, despite it being not the best matchup, who knows who the Capitals goalie is going to be tonight? Because Vanacek saw 45 shots yesterday.
No, Vanacek is injured. It was Samsonov came in. Samsonov replaced him, faced 45 shots in overtime. They called up Phoenix Copley. It could be Copley in net here tonight.
Yeah, and Copley's min price on DraftKings, so that could be interesting too. Because we didn't know who Akita Schmid or John Gillies is. Like, we kind of know who Phoenix Copley is.
He at least has been in the NHL. He's gotten there without 9 guys getting injured.
Yeah, they haven't had to fly him in on a stork to start a game. But Ovechkin being out doesn't really change anything defensively for the Caps. They're still a good defensive team. They are on a back-to-back. My concern is now the ownership on, McDavid, the ownership on Draisaitl are going to go up. Now, realistically speaking, I really don't like these lines 5-on-5. Like, I like the pairs, like McDavid, Kane, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, Hyman, Nugent, Hopkins. But these third wheels are just brutal. Yamamoto, I think, honestly, I saw a report that Ryan McLeod might be up there with Draisaitl, Puljujarvi. I honestly don't mind that because I think they think highly of McLeod and they really haven't given him a shot in the top 6. He can't be any worse than Yamamoto. And he's min price, and he sees secondary power play time with McDavid and Draisaitl because those guys played the whole 2 minutes. So for me, on the Oilers side, it's gonna be you take 2 of these pairs, or you stack the second line, or you power play stack. It's just kind of what it's gonna be with Edmonton. You stack the big boys, and you put other players around it. On the Capital side, we just don't know what the lines are going to be. We can conjecture what they're going to be, but we truly don't know. I think this is Ovechkin's first game out this season. So there's not even like any data on what the lines were if he was out. And if he was out earlier in the season, Backstrom wasn't in. So like, you know, they haven't been this quote unquote healthy without Ovechkin in a while. So like, it's just hard to conjecture. It could be, you know, Kuznetsov, Sheary, Sprong, Kuznetsov, Wilson, Sheary. You don't even know. Like Lars Eller could move up. Connor McMichael.
That's what I was thinking. You might see McMichael just jump to the top line and then they leave their second and third lines together.
Yeah. Or, you know, it could be, that actually does make some sense. You know, have McMichael, Kuznetsov, Sheary, and then Sprong, Backstrom, Wilson, something like that. But it's just hard to know because this is a pretty good matchup. Like the Oilers are good offensively, and I see what they're trying to do, you know, defensively, putting Nugent Hopkins, Hyman on the third line, but like their goalies are still bad. They're still pretty bad defensively. So despite Ovechkin being out, there might be some secondary matchups that I like, you know, Sprong. If it is Sprong, Backstrom, Wilson, I don't mind like a Backstrom Wilson getting that Draisaitl matchup, but it's just hard to conjecture. I need to see lines.
Yeah, exactly. I do think it's going to be just Connor McMichael jumping right up. It saves them from having to switch around all their lines. And like Sheary, Backstrom, and Sprong have been playing well together. I don't think they necessarily want to break up that line, but I think you could see something like Washington doesn't just roll 1 to 4 lines, right? Like you'll see their players jump around from line to line from time to time, especially somebody like Connor Sheary. So I think you could see something like Connor McMichael might be on the top line in warmups, but then he still only plays 13 minutes or something like that because he gets a half dozen shifts taken by Connor Sheary in some sort of defensive role at the end of the period or something like that, what have you. I think that's kind of what we're going to see here. Like a McMichael, Kuznetsov, Wilson line would actually kind of interest me. I think McMichael he's shown himself to be a decent shooter so far this year. It's, you know, he's not a great finisher just yet. But just being able to get the shots off is, you know, step one in being a productive offensive player. So I wouldn't hate McMichael being up there. It's just that we don't know what it's going to be. What we do know is that losing Ovechkin isn't going to be a big hit defensively, right? Like, I don't think Ovechkin being out makes me like the Oilers any more than I did, you know, an hour ago or something like that, right? What if you're going to play the Oilers, you're still playing the Oilers. If you were playing Ovechkin, maybe you can just switch that ownership over. But like you said, you're looking at some pretty expensive players that are going to carry a lot more ownership than they were. So I do I talked up Washington too in my power plays article this morning, specifically Nicholas Backstrom, but it was about the power play. Like without Ovechkin, do I want to go in on the Washington power play? So I think like a Backstrom Sheary 2-man can be just fine. Like that 2-man is controlling 60% of the scoring chances when they're on the ice this year. Like I get that they're not great goal scorers, finishers, or whatever, but they're not super expensive either. Backstrom is coming in at 4,600, I believe, and then, you know, Sheary at 3,000. That's a $7,600 2-man. You don't need them to score 4 goals or something like that, right? So I think Backstrom and Sheary still makes a fine 2-man here, but yeah, it just gets more ownership on Edmonton. And I'm with you. I don't really like the way that these lines look. Kyler Yamamoto is a drag on just about anybody he plays with. Ryan McLeod, he could be a good prospect for them. He has a lot more proving to do at this point. He's still a very raw prospect. You know, I think he could be fine on the second line. Then again, if he's going into that Sheary Backstrom matchup we just talked about, you know, that seems like a tough matchup. So I'm having a tough time getting to the Oilers here because I don't think I want to play, you know, 25% McDavid or 25% Draisaitl or whatever it ends up being on the road going into Washington. Like, I think I would rather play Calgary at 15% going into Arizona or Minnesota at 10 to 15% going into Chicago. I think that's kind of what I would rather do if I was 1 to 3 maxing. Obviously, if you're 20, 150 maxing, you're going to have your Oilers. You just need to make a decision about how much you want to get because they're probably going to be coming in a lot higher than the ownership are showing them right now because Ovechkin is out now. So you're going to have to make a decision. Do you want to play 35 or 40% Connor McDavid tonight, or do you want to play 10 to 15% or Connor McDavid? Because we always say you want to come in over or under, probably not right on the field. So the way I would be, I'm going to single entry tonight. If I was 20 maxing, I would probably be under on Washington or on Edmonton. Sorry, but I'm not going to begrudge anybody for going in that direction now because there are only so many expensive spots to get to here tonight. So I do like Washington too a little bit. Don't mind either of the top Edmonton lines. Honestly, I would probably just go with the second line. I think Draisaitl and Puljujarvi will do a lot better together with McLeod than Yamamoto will do on that top line. And like, I don't know if Evander Kane is necessarily a good fit for McDavid. He's not a transition player. He's a shooter. You know what I mean? Yeah, you want that on that line, but you also need somebody to help McDavid carry the puck. So Edmonton 2, Washington 2 on the blue line. And man, some of these guys are really starting to get expensive. Evan Bouchard, 6,300, Nurse at 7,000 on the road. Tyson Barrie is back. I don't know how much ice time he's going to get. Edmonton's been pretty much rolling 4 defensemen of late. I don't know if Barry's going to jump in and play like 17, 18 minutes. He might be down at 12, 13. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to make a choice, obviously. If you're playing Edmonton, who do you want to spend up for on the defense if you're going to play somebody? You know, Bouchard makes the most sense because he's power play 1 and he's cheaper than Nurse. At $7K on the road is just a bit expensive for me. If you want to punt Duncan Keith or Cody Ceci, like, okay, but like I'd rather get Bouchard in with my Edmonton stuff. On the Washington side, if you want to correlate Carlson on the power, like it just feels bad to, you know, put in a power play stack without Ovechkin. I don't even know who's going to take his spot. Like, who's even a good shooter who's going to be on power play 1 from the dot there? Like, I just don't know with this team. So, like, I think Dmitry Orlov at 3,100 is fine, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, Orlov seems to be getting a bit involved. Don't mind him for his price there.
Like, who's even going to take his
right.
spot? Like, I can't even think. Like, Sprong, maybe? No. Like
Sprong, yeah, Sprong or McMichael, I think.
Yeah.
It's not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Regardless, I don't have a lot of interest in stacking that Washington power play anymore. All right, let's get to this next game. Seattle, the Kraken have a 2.4 implied goal total. The New York Islanders have a 3.1 implied goal total. Both these teams played last night, so this is a back-to-back. This is a back-to-back for both of them. They haven't named their goalies, but it should be Varlamov against Grubauer. When I was researching this game last night, the one thing that stood out to me was the Islanders' depth is starting to play a little bit better. That had generally been the struggle for them all year, was that the top line was playing well, not as well as they could have been, but they were still playing well. But the depth was just absolutely getting caved all the time. Looking at the numbers in January, the second and third lines seem to have come around a little bit. I mean, that makes the Islanders a lot more interesting for me because, you know, for the first 3 months of the season, it was play Islanders 1 or pass for me. Now I think there are actually 3 lines you can look at. It is a 3.1 total. They're expecting some goals here. What do you think, Josh?
I don't understand these like Islanders totals. They've been over 3, and then you have teams like they're arguably better, getting like 2.5s, 2.6s. Maybe I just have a bad bias, but like I don't know. I kind of want to get behind some lines in this game. I just, man, I think it's because I like if I want to play them, I'll watch the game because I get the Islanders games. But I don't want to watch this game. Like this screams brutal hockey. I think if I was going to go to something, it'd be what I did last night. Go to JG Pageau and Wallstrom, just because they're super cheap. They're on the third line. They are going to get, you know, like the McCann Eberle matchup, I would imagine. But like, so like, you know, that line, you know, pretty good offensively. Seattle isn't like they should be better defensively than they are, and they're getting a little bit better, but like they're still not great. To get, you know, 2 guys on power play 1 for 6,800, I think is fine. You want to go to Nelson Bavilier, Palmieri. I think that's another decent option. Like these 2 lines are way lower owned than the top line coming in, like Lee and Barzal. They're the name value, you could say, on the Islanders. I mean, they are going to get depth matchups of Seattle, and you know, I think that's a good matchup. But you know, I'd rather just get the guys on power play one at lower ownership for cheaper again with this Islanders team. So for me, I'm going to go JG Pageau, Wallstrom. On the Seattle side, like if you want to play that top line, I think they're in a much better spot than they were yesterday, obviously going against Bergeron. But I'm just not super excited about playing a team at the end of a road trip, you know, going home across the country for a break. They're probably just like, oh, you know, I can't wait to see the family, see the dog, take a nap, hide from the kids. You know what I mean? Like,
I like how you mentioned the dog and the nap before the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the order I go in, obviously, in this household. But so like, I don't know, like in 1 to 3, I'm probably going to be out on full stacking Seattle. If you want to get to them in 20 max, 150 max, I think that's fine. There's some interesting one-offs like Donato, you know, 2,900. Like that line, Donato, Wenberg, Donskoy. Like Donskoy scored his first goal of the season yesterday. He's okay at 2,600. Donato's been shooting the puck a bunch at 2,900. You want to stack that top line, sure. But for me, if I was going to do anything in this game, it would be Islanders 3.
Yeah, Islanders 3, I was looking at their numbers earlier, and they have a 54% shot share in their last 50 minutes, which speaks to the turnaround of the depth that I was talking about earlier. Like they have been playing better. Not a monster sample. We're talking 50 minutes, but 50 minutes of good hockey is better than what they did for the first 3 months of the season. So definitely do like that Islanders third line. They're not even coming in with super high ownership, right? They're coming in basically right on their ownership by our top stacks. By the way, top stacks free on the site today. So if you're not a member and you hear us talk about top stacks, go check it out at awesemo.com. So yeah, that Islanders 3 going to the Seattle top line. The Seattle top line, like, I don't know what to make of their numbers because their Corsi numbers aren't that great, but their scoring chance numbers are good. And, you know, sometimes lines do get like that, but they tend to be the more super elite lines. Like I'm thinking of Tampa 1 off the top of my head. I don't know if I'd put Seattle in that conversation, but it's the second line that I want to draw a little bit of attention to here. Nelson Beauvillier, Palmieri, or Nelson Beauvillier at least from the Islanders second line. They've been drawing 57% of the scoring chances in their sample together in the month of January. 57% is just a monster turnaround from where they were, you know, at the end of November going into December. So yes, that line is playing better, and they're going to be matched up against that second line from Seattle. I mean, the second line from Seattle just hasn't been very good this year. Depends what you're looking at, but the Yarncroc-Gord duo has played a lot this year, well over 100 minutes together, 45% of the shots, 39% of the scoring chances. That second line for Seattle just hasn't been good.
So surprising.
I know. I think that's a big problem for Seattle is Yanni Gord was supposed to step in and be at least the top, you know, top 6 center, if not the top center behind or ahead of Jared McCann. And it just hasn't worked out that way at all. So, yeah, that Seattle second line looks a little weak to me. I think the Islanders second line, you know, looking at their top stacks, coming in just fine by ownership, you know, 2%, 2.5% top stacks, 2.3% ownership. That's just fine. I like Islanders 2 here tonight. On the Seattle side, I think you can go to the top line here. They're coming in under leveraged, which means they're coming in with lower ownership than the top 2 expected percentage. So they look to be a good stack here. Like I said, their scoring chance and expected goals numbers have generally been good. It's just this, you know, the shot attempt numbers haven't been. So, you know, if they're going to get the third and fourth lines, or the fourth line especially, you know, the third and fourth lines from the Islanders, I think they could do some damage. So I'm not going to play them in 1 to 3, Seattle 1. I guess you could if you wanted to. I'm not going to, but I think you can. 20
There's
max,
a big house on Narrative Street too. You know, this is Everly's first game back.
Everly's return. Yeah. I think you can definitely get there in 20 max. Just something like 5 to 10%, I think is just fine for Seattle 1. So Seattle 1, Islanders 2, I like the most in this game. On the blue line, Ryan Pollock's back. He's reasonably priced. He didn't play a lot last night, but they had that game firmly in control pretty much the entire time, and nobody really played a lot last night. So I'm thinking they were just saving their players for the game tonight. Anybody on the blue line you like?
Yeah, I mean, Pollock's. I mean, that was his first game back too. They don't want to just like throw him on the ice for 23 minutes. Be like,
well, I mean, they might. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. that is a good point. Dobson's a little expensive, but that third line's cheap enough where you can do a 3-man with Dobson. It's fine. On the Seattle side, are these flurries related?
I don't think so.
And
But
Kale, I mean, they sound related, but I don't know. Nothing really outside of Adam Larson, unless you need like a stone cold min punt to correlate.
yeah, I agree. Larson at 3K sounds just fine to me. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our top stacks, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and can be easily added on to these packages at checkout, but it is not included in our base packages, though it is certainly a very valuable addition to your DFS arsenal. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. All right, let's get to this next game. Los Angeles Kings have a 2.9 total. Going into Detroit, the Red Wings have a 2.6 implied goal total. One of my favorite plays on the entire slate is in this game. I'm just going to ask you what you like because I know exactly what I like out of this one.
Yeah, so the first thing I noticed was Nedeljkovic's projected ownership. And it's because he's cheap at home, right? 7,500 at home. Everyone likes Ned, Uncle Ned.
We have him near 30%, by the way. You could mention that 25 to 30%.
I'm on the Kings here. I think you can do either of the top two lines here, but I specifically like the top line more than the second line tonight. Just because that third line, their shutdown line, is break even at best, pretty high event. So I think Kopitar, Iafallo, Kempe can do some work there. That second line, more Dano Arvidsson with ridiculous numbers still, by the way. Prices haven't moved. Numbers still ridiculous. They are going to see a fair bit of that Bertuzzi line. And I still think you can go to Kings 2 here. It's not like, the Bertuzzi, Suter, Fabry line. It's just some lockdown defensive line. You can definitely play them, and they're super cheap. But they're probably my favorite filler. The only reason I'm going to go to that third line is, they're fully correlated on the top power play. The shutdown, the quote-unquote shutdown for the Detroit line, Red Wings isn't great. So I really like the Kings 1. If you want to go to Kings 2, which I'm normally on and I'm still on, that's fine. And then on the Leafs, why is Mitch Marner on the brain? Mitch Marner, 4-point game. How about that? My boys, they grow up so fast.
I know, we're so proud of them.
Yeah. I like the Wings top line here, and I wish Bertuzzi was on that top line. But I think you could do something like Clark and Raymond Cedar, just because they're going to get that third line of the Kings here. And Anthony Ciu, Byfield, Brown might be decently good offensive, but they're just not good defensively. Larkin overpriced compared to some of the other players on the slate. You know what I mean? Like, do you really want to find 7,200 in one lineup to play Dylan Larkin, or go play someone, like Johnny Gaudreau, who's cheaper in a way better matchup? Or maybe not cheaper, but right around the same price. You know what I mean? So I think, these players on the wings are going to go overlooked a little bit. So I think you can go to Wings 1 here. Wings 2 is perfectly fine as well. Like, they're obviously the best Wings line right now. They're coming in the highest owned Wings line, which isn't surprising. They're going to see a fair bit of Dano Arvidsson, which isn't a great matchup, but 5-game slate, I think both second lines are in play. But for me, I'm on both top lines here.
Yeah. The line I'm going to is Los Angeles 2. And I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. Los Angeles 2 has just been flat out one of the best lines in the NHL this year. I'm pretty sure their expected goals are still north of 4.
They are
4.19 expected goals per minute,
which is just bananas
in a 170-minute sample. That is just absolutely ludicrous. And they're actually scoring. They're scoring 3.5 goals per 60 minutes. That is elite, right? That is an elite scoring rate. The problem is they're not a top line, so they don't play 19, 20, 21 minutes. That's the issue here. But they are, a fantastic line. I wrote in the Power Plays article up at awesemo.com, free to read for anybody that is watching this or anybody that just stumbles on the website. Victor Arvidsson, 3.6 shots per game over his last 10, despite skating only 17 minutes a night. Imagine what he could do if he was skating 20 or 21 minutes a night. The line is generating over 4 expected goals, 77 shot attempts per 60 minutes. And like the second line from Detroit is fine. Like they're like a 52% line. That's fine. And it's actually good for the Detroit Red Wings. But yeah, I don't see it as a good matchup for this Detroit second line. So I really like the Kings second line here. They're coming in right on their ownership by our top stack, 6.6 top 2 stack, 6.8% ownership rate. I don't know. You don't have to necessarily 3-man stack them. If you want to leave off the third wheel, Trevor Moore, that's fine. But I think I might just 3-man stack that entire line here tonight. Yeah. So you can get to some more of the expensive options.
Also, every time I stack King's second line and I leave off Moore, he goes absolutely crazy. Like that dude just shoots the puck. Like that's all he does is shoot the puck.
So, yeah, and you know what? We like players like that in DFS. So yeah, I do like playing the 3-man. Like Josh said, if you want to go to the top line for Los Angeles here, they could get some pretty good in-game matchups, lineup ownership very much in check for them. So you want to go Kings 1, go Kings 1, but I'm going single entry tonight. I think I might be leaning towards Kings 2 as my filler. I don't even hate the idea of a couple guys off Kings 3. I don't really know how that line is going to do. Byfield, Athanasiou, and Dustin Brown. But Athanasiou and Byfield have good raw offensive skills and can generate a goal by themselves. So
fast too.
Yeah, so maybe I might one-off one of them. Like if I need a one-off winger, maybe go to Athanasiou or Byfield or something like that. I don't know if I'd stack the line. I do like the top 2 lines from the Kings. On the Detroit side, I agree with you. It's probably about the top line in this game for me. Dylan Larkin, he's shooting about 30% more than any other Detroit winger over the last Detroit forward, over the last 5 weeks. Like he, not necessarily like shooting the lights out, but he is shooting a lot. So I want him in my lineup. Bring along Nemestikov or Raymond or Cedar or what have you. Moritz Cedar definitely makes some sense here. Let's talk about the defenseman because the Los Angeles Kings penalty kill isn't very good. So I think you can get away with like a Larkin, Raymond Cedar, Larkin, Fabry Cedar, something like that. What do you think about defenseman here?
Yeah, I kind of like Cedar here, and he's more expensive than Doughty tonight, so which is interesting. But like, I think that makes him like a good play, just because like if you have $5,500 left, who are you more, regardless of who's in your lineup, who are you more likely to click, Cedar or Doughty? I think Doughty would be higher owned just because people know who he is. You know what I mean? I think Cedar makes a lot of sense, especially in correlated Detroit lineups. I think Doughty's fine as well. It's not like the Wings penalty kill is some juggernaut. So I like both the power play quarterbacks here. From a punt standpoint, there really just isn't much there. I don't mind Dursey, but I wish he was under 3K, not mid 3s.
Yeah, he just doesn't skate enough, right?
Yeah.
It's like 16, 17 minutes a night. So, just not enough ice time there. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's NHL $2,000 Wednesday Baller and the $1 million baller for the Super Bowl. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Lots of NHL contests over on Yahoo now. 4 figures to first might not sound like a lot, but when you're just getting your feet wet at DFS, trust me, 4 figures is more than enough. So head on over to Yahoo if you want to try out DFS, if you want to get some free money for doing it. Check out Yahoo Fantasy. All right, let's get to this next game. Minnesota 3.4 implied goal total. They're going into Chicago. The Blackhawks have a 2.7 implied goal total. I try to spread out the games and the players I talk about when I do a power plays article, but I ended up writing up 4 players out of this game. There's a lot I like on both sides. Why don't you take it away, Josh?
Yeah. Hello, Chalk Blackhawks again. What else is new?
Oh God, not this again, please.
No.
Please not again.
DeBrincat is up on the top line. It's not, sorry, Jake, it's not your boy Hagel. And the Wild have a terrible penalty kill. And they're going to avoid Joel Eriksson. Granted, the Gaudreau, Boldy, Fiala line has been pretty good defensively. They had pretty good enough. But, like, if DeBrincat and Kane are for sure going to play 5-on-5 together, and they're going to get that power play time, obviously, against a bad penalty kill and avoid the meat and potatoes of the Wild defensively, I think, it is some heavy ownership, but, like, it might be warranted here. Like, if it was Strome, Kane, Hagel, and they're projected at 30%, I'd say, I'm taking the stand, I'm going to fade them. But if DeBrincat sticks, which is always a question mark with this Kings or with the coaches of the Blackhawks, I think, this is a really, really good spot to eat the chalk and the Hawks. So I'm in on the Hawks tonight. Unlike I wasn't on them the other night and ended up working out, thankfully. But like tonight, I see more reason to play them. I like the line better. The power play spot is just as good. Like, yeah, the Vancouver penalty kill is bad, but so is the Wild. And so I'd rather play 30% DeBrincat Strome Kane than 30% Hagel Strome Kane. And it's nothing against Hagel, but DeBrincat is going to score over 50 goals this season if he stays healthy. Big difference. So I'm in on the Hawks top line tonight. Other than that, on the Hawks side, like, I would imagine Doc, Hagel, Kershev going to go out against that Hartman line. So don't really want to do that just because Hartman and Kaprizov's numbers together are just crazy good. So, and other than that, like, the depth isn't there for me on the Hawks. So Hawks won for me. On the Wild side, top line definitely in play, and their ownership's in check right now. I think they're going to be one of the benefactors of Ovechkin being out with the ownership, unfortunately, which sucks because I really, really, really like the Wild top line tonight. The thing with Ovechkin being out, though, it might lower the Hawks ownership, but it's definitely going to raise the Wild ownership. So we have to see where they come in. If they're coming in, 18, 19, I still think that's fine on a 5-game slate. That top line definitely in play. You want to go to that Fiala, Gaudreau, Boldy line, I think that is also in play. They're going to see a bunch of Strome, Kane, DeBrincat, but like Strome and Kane together, decent possession numbers. They just aren't creating at 5-on-5. So I am a believer in Freddie Gaudreau at center, and I think you are too. And Boldy looks like a legit prospect. So, and how we feel with Fiala. Fiala with line mates equal play. So, you can have that chart. Does he have line mates? Yes, lock him in. So I think you can do that second line. And I honestly think that like Joel Eriksson Ek is a really, really good one-off tonight. Hawks penalty kill, bad. They're going to, I think, like that checking line, because the Hawks are going to want to avoid sending their good offensive players out. So like they might even see like, that fourth line of the Hawks, which is just bad. So I don't even mind that third line to get contrarian, but like Joe Eriksson Ek on his own is a really good one-off on power play 1. So all three Wild lines in play for me, and I am on Hawks 1 tonight.
Yeah, I'll limit it to the Minnesota top line because that's the line that I wrote about in the Power Plays article. And what I wrote about was with Ryan Hartman off the top power play unit. I'm wondering if leaving Hartman there isn't the way to get a little bit different with Minnesota, because I'm wondering if people don't see Joel Eriksson Ek top power play unit, save $1,300 and dump down to a lot more Joel Eriksson Ek than there should be for a 3-man stack. So I do like just full 3-man stacking the top Minnesota line. They've still been elite. The possession numbers have come down a bit. I think that was kind of expected. but they've still been elite offensively for pretty much the entire season. As you mentioned, the Chicago penalty kill depends what metric you're looking at, but it's a bottom 5 penalty kill in the league. So I think Minnesota can definitely take advantage of that. You know, they don't have a great power play, but they can definitely take advantage of it. And if you're worried about, you know, maybe some extra Minnesota ownership, with Eriksson Ek on the power play on the third line and on the second line, and Boldy on the power play in the third line, there are ways to get different here. You know, you can go stack the top line and then add Boldy if you want. Stack the top line and add Spurgeon. You know, just stack the top line, leave off Hartman, throw in Eriksson Ek, add Spurgeon. Like, there are ways to get different. So it's the Minnesota top line / Minnesota power play one that I really like out of this game. Like, I agree with you on Chicago. Like, Alex DeBrincat is just too cheap. Like you said, he's on pace for 50 goals this year, like 48 or something like that. And he's priced at 5,100. Now, the reason for that, he has 10 assists on the season. It's just
with Kreider. You know, I mean, he's in the mid 5s and he leads the NHL in goals because he's in the Cy Young race with DeBrincat.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, those assists are going to turn around. And if he keeps scoring, he's going to be a monster player in the second half. That's why Chicago's so high. It's one of those optimizer plays, right? Like, if you're using Fantasy Cruncher, they're going to slam in a whole bunch of Chicago for you here tonight. So I think in my single entry, I'm going to fade the chalk in this game, but I certainly understand playing them. On the blue line, Seth Jones, I think, makes a whole lot of sense here tonight. You mentioned the Minnesota penalty kill and all that. Seth Jones playing over 26 minutes a night. He can shoot, he can block, he can score, he can do it all. Definitely one of my favorite plays on the blue line tonight. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I love Jones. I like Spurgeon. Don't love Spurgeon. I'm not, he is, he contributes on the power play, but he's not like super good. Calvin DeHaan, Jake McCabe, Connor Murphy. If you need a shot blocking punt, pick your poison there. Goligoski at 3,300, I think, is fine as well. Jonas Brodin at 3,700 also tickles the fancy a little bit.
Yeah, Brodin is, if I'm not mistaken, he's projecting very well for us here tonight for his price at 3,700. So if you don't want to pay up super, more expensive Spurgeon or super expensive Jones, I think, just going Brodin here is just fine in this game. We have an Awesemo Hall of Fame here. Funny enough, I think we added somebody to the Awesemo Hall of Fame yesterday, Minimax over in FanDuel. And the way you can get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame is like this. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and then you tweet those wins to the Awesemo Hoff account on Twitter. That's Awesemo HOF. You do all that, and you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Now, you can only win one free month per year, but a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum is valued several $100s. So you win a contest, win some money. You can even win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You'll see some of those winners pop up on the screen. 8-game taking down third place in the 50K Tuesday Night Baller over on Yahoo. Matt DePraz says, unpack the bags, honey. Mortgage is getting paid. Took down $1,500 for a first place. That looks like NBA as well. Chad Mashke taking down 15th for $500. His best night, he says, in the NBA 20 max. Then you'll see us get to some NHL. Kyle Nance 0012 last night had Matthews and the Crosby boy and the Pittsburgh boys finished second in his contest for $1,000. And then Crazy Pucker makes his way into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Bradley Sanderson, Matthews, Toronto 1, Vegas 2 last night, took down the Minimax over on FanDuel, first place out of nearly 10,000 contestants. Congrats. That is incredibly difficult to pull off. Congrats on making it to the Awesemo Hall of Fame. If you'd like to make it into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, just remember, have the Awesemo avatar as your DraftKings or FanDuel or Yahoo avatar. Finish top 3 in a contest with at least 5,000 contestants and send those wins on in to Awesemo Hoff on Twitter. All right. We have some shows coming up after us, not right after us, but at 4:00 Eastern, we have the Yahoo NBA Wednesday night live show with Kaufman and Greg. And then your NBA double dose from 5 to 7:30. That is the deeper dive and the live before lock. And those times are Eastern, 5 to 7:30 Eastern. And then at 8:00 Eastern, you have your PGA live before lock with Ben and Eric. I see a super chat from Clayton Eskew says profitable $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Clayton. Appreciate it. Profitable first half. Can't thank you guys in the Discord team enough, especially Mr. Goodman. Enjoy your break. Mr. G, I appreciate him getting the shout out because our subscribers do help each other out a lot, right? Like there's only 4 of us in the chat that actually work at Awesemo. We're not in there, 24/7. So we do have subscribers helping each other out. They're talking cash games in there pretty much all day long. Mr. Goodman, Mr. Corsi Hockey League, and Jimmy V, and all those guys talking cash games all day long. So even if you don't hear from us, every 30 minutes during the day, you'll definitely hear from some subscribers. So thanks for the super chat, Clayton, and enjoy your break as well. All right, let's get to this final game, Josh. We have Calgary with a 3.5 implied goal total going into Arizona. The Yotes have a 2.1 implied goal total. Our old friend, Alex Galchenyuk, up on the top line for the Arizona Coyotes now. Their second line being Phil Kessel, Travis Boyd, Lawson Krause. Galchenyuk even scored last night as Arizona beat Colorado. I don't know if Alex Galchenyuk on the top line makes me want to play Arizona, but it might make me want to play more Calgary. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, like Alex Galchenyuk on John Tavares' wing last year, or Matthews' wing, is where he should be. He should not be a top line center in the NHL. So, yeah, this is a Flames night, and unfortunately, I believe Calgary 1 is going to be another benefactor of more ownership, because I guess benefactor isn't the best word because you want them lower owned, but I think they're going to get a nice little bumpity bump with Ovechkin being out. That being said, this is a very, very good spot, or as Niehaus says, a primo spot for Flames 1. This is all about the power play. We're talking about bad power plays. Coyotes might be the worst in the NHL. It depends which metric you look at. They did get bailed out by some goaltending recently. Vejmelka actually has been playing pretty well. Doesn't worry me, though. I'm in on Calgary 1. You want to go to Calgary 2, that's fine, but I want to concentrate on the power play. You want to include Monahan in that stack, or just replace him with Monahan. You can save a couple bucks, get a little bit unique. On the Arizona side, it'll be interesting to see who starts, because Marchand didn't play great last night. He gave up 3 goals, and then he got pulled. So I almost think like they're just resting him so he can go again tonight. I'm not sure. Like, just conjecture. If it's Vladash, if it's Markstrom, I'm not sure it makes a difference to me. I just don't know if I'm going to get to any of the Coyotes tonight. Like, it's just a bad matchup up and down. So there's I'd much rather play LA2 at that price than anything on the Leafs. Got Mitch Marner on the brain. Anything on the Coyotes. So I think this is just a Calgary power play game for me.
Yeah, and the thing with Arizona is they're coming in over leveraged, right? Like the top line coming in at about 6% ownership. And they're 11K on DraftKings. Like you mentioned, the Kings second line coming in the same ownership, much better chance of being a top 2 stack, only about $1,400 more expensive. Like I would find the $1,400. Yeah, you know what I mean? I would drop down to Phoenix Copley from a 7,900 goalie or something like that. I would find the $1,400 for Los Angeles too. Not obviously Arizona can do well. And I'm sure our colleague Josh Anderson is just screaming at the screen saying play Arizona, but I agree with you. I just
Jake is locking in Christian Fisher right now because the boy loves some Arizona 3 in MME.
I just think it's a real tough matchup for those top 2 lines going into Calgary 1 and 2. So for me, it's about Calgary power play in this game. So it's their top line plus Monahan plus Anderson. Our Arizona's arguably the worst penalty kill in the league. Calgary's power play near the top of the league in shot rate in January, but shooting 8%. They're not going to keep shooting 8% the rest of the season. I really like the Calgary top line in this game. As you said, on the blue line, not a whole lot to write about on either side, really. I kind of like Noah Hannafin for his price. He's been shooting a little bit more, getting some ice time. Anybody else?
Yeah, Anderson, if you want to correlate. It's kind of like Jared Spurgeon. It's kind of like the player like Hannafin, Shillington, if you want to, or Tanev if you want other guys on the Coyote side, like Chikrin 6K is still silly. Like Dyson Mayo, I guess is fine on that top pair. I just wish he was under 3K.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we got to get out of here. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies. The final one before the All-Star break. My hat trick pick for tonight. We're going expensive tonight. We're going Kirill Kaprizov, dollar bill Kirill. And my goalies, I like both goalies in the Detroit-Los Angeles game, Ned and Peterson. I would probably correlate Peterson if I'm playing Los Angeles 2 here tonight. Don't mind Vemelka for Arizona if you're looking for some serious tournament upside. What do you think?
Yeah, just to add on that, I don't mind Grubauer either at 7,400. If Copley's in that at 6,500 on DraftKings, that is a conversation to be had. If your brain is still scarred from Akita Shmi getting pulled, you might want to, light some candles, talk to Joe Boo and see what you want to do. Koskinen at 7,600 is interesting without Ovechkin. And my hat trick pick, I'm going to go so spicy tonight. I'm going Ryan Donato.
Oh, man, that is spicy. All right, Ryan Donato, hat trick pick from Josh. So you got one at the top of the pricing list from me in Kaprizov, one at the bottom from Josh in Donato. Just want to shout out Chalupa, gave us a $7 super chat. Didn't say anything, just said, don't need a message, just appreciate the Awesemo staff. We really appreciate you guys as well. Thank you very much for the super chat, Chalupa. That'll do it for us here today. As I mentioned, NHL is back. Regular season is back on Monday, but shows will be back on Tuesday. So a little reprieve here for producer Mike, for Josh. I'm Slim Cliffy saying good luck tonight, and we'll see you in 5 days.
Flyers are on a 2-game winning streak.